hand out some information, some valuable information about the home buying process, and also to honor the end of Women's History Month. So thank you, Barry, for allowing us to have this event. And thank you for my panelists who also are here to give information and their expertise. What we're going to do is actually, we're going to go through a slide and we're going to introduce all of our panelists so you can see exactly who we are and what we do. And then after that, we're going to actually go through a little bit of a small information info section, just giving you the rundown, the process of what it takes to actually buy a home in this type of market. Okay, so without further ado, if Barry can actually present the slides, I'm going to go through who we all are and how long we've been doing what we do. Okay, so I am the realtor. Again, my name is Nadiyah Smith. I am a realtor, ReMax Select out of Montclair, New Jersey. I'm actually an educator by previous profession. I used to be a performing arts teacher for over a decade in New Jersey public schools. And I decided to actually take a leap of faith and become a realtor in 2018. Real estate has always been a passion and actually is a part of my lineage. I've had family members who were real estate agents. So I decided to go after this dream and I have never looked back since. I first started my real estate business at Keller Williams in Livingston, New Jersey. Within my first 2 years, I closed over about 1.2 million in sales and actually was recruited at the end of last year by ReMax Select out of Montclair, where I'm now at as the beginning of 2020, where I should be looking to finish within additional million within this quarter. So I'm very, very excited. I love what I do. I'm very excited about this. I work both on the buyer side and the listing side. So I'm here to just give all my information and knowledge, and I would love for you to stay connected with me at the end of the presentation and at the end of this actual meeting. We'll have links and ways that you can keep in touch with me if you have any questions or if you have any things that you want to ask of any of the panelists. There's a way for you to get in touch with us. So Barry, you can go to the next slide. You can see my contact information. Again, this is going to be in a link a little bit later on. So again, I work out of Montclair, New Jersey. My cell phone, yep.
Okay.
Go back one more. There you go. You don't have to worry about any of this. Again, there's going to be a link at the end of the presentation. In fact, at the end of this workshop, where you can find out all our information. Next slide, please, Barry. So the things I'm going to go over this evening is basically my role in the process. The key points that we're going to go over is how do I help the client search and view homes? My purpose of helping you prepare an offer if you find a home that you really, really like. I also am going to go over a little bit of information about negotiations if it arises. And I'm going to talk about how I am like a liaison or how I facilitate communications between me and other real estate professionals when it comes down to this process, because it's about the team. It's not just me and you as the client. It's a whole team that's behind you. And with that effort has to get the job done. And then we're going to also briefly talk about the timeline as far as how long does it take and what is going on in this current market and as far as in New Jersey. Okay, next slide. Next, we're going to talk about our lender. Go back one for me, please. And that is Maya. Yeah, go back one. So I could, yep. Maya Smith. She is our lender for this evening. She works with Camden Mortgage. She is a senior lender with over 20 years experience. And she's able to tell you about all the different type of programs and loans that her and her company offers. She's a broker, something a little bit different than, say, for instance, if you were to go to a traditional bank like a Bank of America. She actually is able to shop the market for different loans and products for you. So she has a wealth of knowledge and also is able to look a little bit deeper to find the right products for you. And also we are so honored to have her because she is not only a wonderful loan officer, but she also is a certified credit consultant. She's also a member of the National Notary Association. And she currently serves as the Regional Vice President of Region 2 of New York and New Jersey, the NAREB National Membership Chair. So the NAREB stands for the National Association of Real Estate Brokers, which is our advocates for people of color, or brown and Black people, which was started back in 1947 in Tampa, Florida. I'm also a member of this wonderful organization. For many, many years, we already know, even the atrocities just recently about a Black couple who tried to get their house appraised, and it didn't appraise well. And then they actually asked a white friend to come into the situation to get it appraised, and it was a difference. So this association not only helps educate, but also provides service to the community, and it is a wealth of knowledge. So we are really, really honored to have her here. She's just a wonderful person, very, very easy to talk to, and we're happy to have her here. And not only does she do loans, but she also is a certified real estate investment planner, and she does commercial real estate and is an advisor. Next slide, please. And that is going to show you her information. Again, she works for Cannon Mortgage. Next slide. So she's going to briefly talk about the different type of products that you are offered as a buyer coming in as far as loans. He's going to talk about different types of loans, as far as VA loans versus a FHA loan or a conventional loan. She's going to also talk about documentation and paperwork. What do you need to provide in order to finance your purchase? Are you going to be a cash buyer versus a person who needs a mortgage? She's also going to talk about timelines and grants, monies that can be gifted to help you with certain payments, like a down payment assistance, or at the end of it, your closing costs. And then she also going to tell you and talk about credits, do's, and don'ts. And she really wanted to make sure I emphasize, if you're trying to buy a home, not to open new lines of credit, like say for instance, for credit cards or new car. So I'll make sure I mentioned that. Next slide, please. Next, we have our attorney, Darryl Scipio. Darryl Scipio has been an attorney since 2017. He actually graduated from Rutgers, Newark. He has his own law firm, which is located downtown Newark, where he is the founder, member of Scipio Law. He is a wealth of knowledge, and he specializes in residential and commercial real estate. And we are very, very privileged to also have an attorney who does a lot of work in development. In fact, he's going to actually talk about something that he is currently working on called Savers Village a little bit later on. If we go to the next slide. So this is the information. Like I said, he is located downtown Newark, New Jersey. Wonderful location. And if I can go to the next slide, I can just quickly go over his points. He's going to talk about the rights as a buyer and your protection. How are you protected when it comes down to this process after you write a contract, and how to negotiate the contract. He's also going to talk briefly about understanding what title is and how a title company comes into play, understanding inspection credits, and the conveyance of the actual title when one ownership goes from one to another. Next slide, please. Then we have Damian Gill. Damian is our home inspector, which plays a really major part when it comes down to buying a home. His job is tremendously important. And in fact, to have someone who has so much experience is a really, really great asset for us. He actually has 15 years experience. He actually has performed municipal inspections, both on the local, county, and state level. He's consulted private developers and reviewed projects on federal compliance. And he's worked for several municipalities as a code enforcement officer and worked for firm as both a consultant and expediter. Next slide, please, which is going to show his information. He works for Vanguard. Well, this is actually his own business, Vanguard Home Inspections. Next slide, and we'll talk about his key points that he's going to go over. He's going to talk about home inspection, the pricing, what's included, what are the expectations, understanding the report, because the reports can be very, very lengthy, and additional services. Next slide. And last but not least, we have Steve Crawford. Steve Crawford is our home insurance agent. He works for Primerica. He actually has a wealth of knowledge. He is a financial coach. He has 5 years of experience dealing in this industry. He helps his clients with retirement strategies using tools such as traditional IRAs, Roth IRAs, annuities. He's very, very passionate about what he does and helping families to get to a point where they are reaching financial freedom. And he understands the importance of how you need to protect one of your biggest assets, which is your home. If you go to the next slide. This is his information. Again, he works for Primerica. And the points that he will go over, next slide, is the purpose of home insurance. What policy matters the most, and what do they actually cover? He'll briefly talk about fees and monthly premiums and his role in the actual purchasing of the home insurance. Next slide. So at the very, very end, or in the chat, you're going to see that there's going to be a Linktree link. In that link, you're going to see basically what's in front of you. This is a way to get to each and every one of the presenters' pages. If you want to connect, if you have further questions, this will be an easy way for you to keep in contact with them. And again, I would like to thank especially Barry for helping me host this event. And also I have a dear friend, Black Southern, who also is helping with tech and also helping monitor the chat, who's in the room as well. Okay.
All right, so I'm gonna stop the share now, and then I'll spotlight whoever's gonna be up next.
Okay. So what we're gonna do very quickly before we actually go into each individual panelist and have them speak, I have a little quick fire quiz. If we could put that in the chat. It's very, very simple. It's 3 questions, just to test your knowledge as far as what you know right now. And as that goes up, I'm going to just talk about each question. We're not going to answer them right now. I just want everyone to have a chance to look at it and see how they would answer it. So very simple. I'll read over the questions. Again, I'm not going to answer them yet. I'm just going to read over them. So the first question is, true or false? A realtor, lender, an attorney, and home inspector are real estate professionals that are typically involved in the process of buying a home. Next question, true or false? Am I expected to pay most of my real estate professionals involved in the purchase at the beginning of the process? Next question, what are important expenses a buyer is responsible for before closing on a home? And the last question, on average, how long does it take to buy a home from beginning to end? So real quick, we'll give you about 2 minutes. If you could fill that out, I would truly appreciate it. And if you have any questions, you can put them in the chat.
Play a little jazz.
Thank you. We'll start back in 3 minutes. You can actually fill out the actual form. You can find the link inside the chat and it'll prompt you to go to another screen. Very easy to record your answers there.
All right. And I can put them, let me see. I see some questions in the oh no, I think that's directly to me. Let's see. I'm gonna put it back in the chat one more
Oh,
time.
so contact info. Okay. Our apologies. That's something you're going to do as well at the end of the workshop, to just fill out a contact information sheet. So there's a way that we can keep in contact with you as well. Okay.
Copy. Let's do this one more time. Yeah, that was done a little differently. Hold on.
Okay, I'm going to continue. So while you guys are doing that, I'm going to continue. So, home buying process. As someone who understands that this is one of the most biggest purchases in your life, you may say to yourself, you know what? It's time for me and my family to purchase a home. And what do I do and how do I even begin? So firstly, most times you will ask a friend, a family member, hey, what did you do when you bought your home? And they might say, you know what, I worked with a realtor. So my job, my purpose is to help you find and locate a home. So in this climate, if you were to go on things like Zillow, Trulia, Redfin, you'll see a home that you really, really like and you want to go see it. How do you gain access? You gain access with working with a realtor. Working with someone like myself, you will first get in touch with me. And I said, okay, wonderful. I would ask you a couple questions. I would have like a consultation, kind of see exactly what's your game plan. How do you feel about the whole process? How do you want to pay for it? So once I ask you these questions, you will tell me, well, A, I can either pay cash or what mostly everyone does, have to borrow the money, which is a mortgage. So if you don't understand any of that process, I would then recommend you to a lender. Now, you could either go a traditional bank way, like a Bank of America or Chase, or you could deal with a lender like Maya. Maya is a broker. She is a person who shops the market and finds the right tools or the right program or the right type of loan for you. After you speak to Maya, and she's actually going to go into this a little bit further, she will then tell you how much house you can afford. Once you find out how much you can afford, you then will come back to me and say, okay, Nadiyah, I spoke to Maya. I'm ready to go shopping. I have a budget of X amount of dollars. Once we do that, then we have a plan that we have to put together as far as how we're going to go house shopping. Now, I'm pretty sure most of you have seen things like Zillow that will send you stuff. Now, me as a realtor, I have access to what's called an MLS system. It is a big pool in which realtors put in or put houses on the market. And think of it like the stock market, right? I'm able to find out information, but more importantly, I'm able to gain access to these properties. So if there's a property that you really, really like or really, really adore, you would contact me and say, Nadiyah, I really like this property. Can we go see it? Right? So after you let me know, I would then reach the listing agent. That's the other side. So right now I'm talking as a buyer's agent, meaning I represent you as a buyer. There's the other side of the deal, which is a listing agent who actually puts the house on the market for the seller. Once I contact them, we schedule an appointment, you look at the house. If you love the house, then you say, you know what, Nadiyah, I want to put an offer on this house. I help you prepare the offer in writing. It is a legal document. This legal document, once we put in an offer, we put in our financials, we put in what type of loan or cash. It's a lengthy document. That's why we have our our attorney who actually will go into a little bit further as far as what's the purpose of all the jargon and all the language. But once we put in an offer, it's either accepted or rejected. So for time purposes, if you put in an offer that is actually accepted, then we go to the next step, which is called attorney review. That's when both us as the buyer and the listing agent or the seller are going back and forth through negotiations when we review the contract. Now, I am not a attorney by any means. And in the state of New Jersey, you are not legally liable or have to hire an attorney, but because it's such a big ordeal and a big task, you will want the guidance and advice of an attorney. And that's where Darryl will come into play, where he will help guide you and advise you on what to do. This is where you can change the language of a contract. This is where you can add things. And also on the other side, where the sellers can also change and add things. So you definitely want that second pair of eyes on it to help guide you with legal counsel. If all is well and negotiation goes back and forth and you like what's happening and the seller agrees, then we go to the next step of the process, which is under contract. Under contract means that both parties agree, and now we are to the point where we need to start inspections. That's where Damian comes in, our home inspector. Why do you need to have the home inspection? Because just my bare eyes or just you as the buyer, we may not see everything that's going on. We get to see what's going on in front of the walls. The home inspector basically goes with a fine-tooth comb from the top to the bottom of the house to see if there's anything that's going awry or anything that is possibly damaging to the house. And he actually will create a report. That report is something that's very, very valuable. That is a tool that not only both the attorney needs to see, but also your lender, depending on what type of mortgage that you're going to use. So he's going to explain that a little bit more. If everything goes great with the home inspection, depending, you also can use the actual report as a way to negotiate. If there's something wrong with the house, me as a realtor and your attorney, we can advise you whether or not you want to have credits to go against what you offer, to go down a little bit, or keep the asking price the way it is. So each part of the transaction has a specific person to help you go along the way. If all is well in the world and home inspection and credits are something that you agree and the seller agrees to as well, then we go to what we call the town inspections. Now, I don't have a CO officer here, but most, especially in northern New Jersey, you have to have what's called a CO, a certificate of occupancy, to close on a house. That's when the city or the municipality has to also come in and give inspections of the house. Why? Because they want to make sure that once you get a house, it doesn't necessarily have anything that will malfunction, and make sure that zoning is correct. And also, Damian can talk about that as well, because he's been a code enforcement officer. All right, so just to kind of recap, you go shopping with me, you find a house that you love. Once you find a house that you love, we put an offer on it. If our offer gets accepted, then we take that offer and present it to our attorney. Our attorney looks over it. If all goes well, then we go to our home inspections and the city inspections, and if all is right and everything goes smoothly, then we can work our way to the closing table. All right, I don't want to take too much time because I'm watching my time, and I want to make sure all my panelists has time to speak. So I'm going to now hand it over to Maya, who is our lender.
Good evening, everybody. You got to get your pen and paper ready because I have so much information for you. And I'll try to be a little conscious of how fast I go because I do have a lot to cover in a short period of time. Just to give you a little background, I was 25 years in investment banking before I got into mortgage banking. Because of 9/11, I changed careers because everybody knows what happened. The trade centers fell. But I actually find this more enjoyable because now I'm putting people in homes. And actually, I'm putting people in homes who really thought that they could not qualify. So, what I really try to do is work with people, even if they're not ready now. So, I help them get ready. But I just want to say something to everybody. I don't know if there are first time home buyers on this call, but especially for a first time home buyer, you should always go to the lender first so that I can qualify you for a mortgage before you see a realtor. Because you might go to the realtor, you're looking at a house that's definitely not in your price range, and you don't want that to happen. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is a few different types of mortgages. Conventional mortgage is Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. You can write that down. Now, in a conventional mortgage, depending on the type of loan and your credit, you can do a 3% down financing or a 5%. The 3% is called Home Possible. Now, the debt to income ratio, we actually calculate what your income, assets, and your debt is what we factor into a conventional loan. And you can only go up to a 49% debt to income ratio on a conventional loan. There's a non-conforming that's outside of conventional. And we also have government-backed loans. FHA is Federal Housing Administration. It's backed by HUD. There's VA. First, let me back up. With the FHA, you could do 3.5% down. Write this down. The 3.5% can come from a family member. So you don't have to put that money down necessarily out of your pocket. A VA loan is veterans. That is 100% financing. I'm going to go a little further. So the VA and the FHA are 1 to 4 family properties. They could be condominiums as well. And with a conventional loan, you can only do a co-op. Co-op is not covered by an FHA loan. So we have stated income loans, that's outside the box. Stated means that you're not giving your income. That is a different type of product. So I do residential, commercial, and hard money loans nationally. Hard money is for investors. That's a different type of product. You don't have to prove your income. And I do stated, which does not prove your income as well. I'm gonna want you to ask me questions later if we have time, because there's a FHA loan, Federal Housing Administration. You have 3.5% down. We have what we call a 203K rehab loan, which means that you can rehab the property that you're looking to buy. So it would be based on what you're qualified for. And I'll just give you an example. Say you see a house that's 100,000 and you need $50,000 of work. Your loan is basically about 150,000. The rehab cost is the 50,000 that's factored into your loan. The VA is 100% financing. There's no money down. We also have USDA in rural areas. That's 100% financing as well. State incomes are local grants. We do have grant programs with 10% down, $10,000 down. There's a grant for the state of New Jersey. They cover $10,000. Now, if you don't qualify for that, I have another bank that's excellent. They can do 2%. So it really depends on the client, the different types of programs. I hope that we can do this again because there's so much financing that I would have to do a whole seminar of about 20 minutes to go over all the products. But I just really want to give you guys the basics. And the one thing that I really want to share, please, when you're applying for a mortgage, these are real credits, do's and don'ts. Please do not open up new accounts. Don't buy a new car. People have done that. And because of your debt to income ratio, you can kill your loan in the middle of the process. The timeline to close, usually a FHA or conventional, I actually close the loan in 10 days, start to finish. That's if I have a complete file up front. That doesn't happen for everybody, but I did close one in January and I'm about to close one tomorrow. So there's so many mortgage products and financing. I really wouldn't be able to do that all tonight, but I just wanted to give you a little bit of a touch of it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Maya. Appreciate you so much. Next, we're going to go to our attorney, Darryl Scipio.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Darryl Scipio. by way of background, a dot-comer. After college, I programmed. I wrote programs for startup websites when CNN Financial. I was part of the Black Planet team. Some of you are Black Planet All-Stars, and I remember some of your profiles. I won't talk about that now. And I was while, got into local government, then went to law school and started practicing real estate law. And then I briefly went to go work for social justice in a labor union. And, you know, part of that union as a minimum wage was started by the union that I worked for. So I'm proud of that work. And so I've always tried to do something with my career to help people that look like me.
Darryl, you're pausing.
Practice, and I do a lot of closings.
Darryl, you're pausing.
Okay,
Let's see.
am I
Okay, you're good now.
Here? I apologize if I am pausing, but please let me know.
I think you're good now.
Yeah, I think you're good.
All right. Apologies for any pauses. But the gist of it is that I'm a real estate attorney. And so like Nadiyah was saying, once you find a home, if you're the buyer and the seller agree on a price and some terms, then the contract comes to me and the seller's attorney, or to me and the buyer's attorney. And because, you know, like Nadiyah, I represent buyers and sellers. Representing a seller, I just have to make sure that the seller's history regarding the property is clear, meaning, you know, there's no encumbrances or there's no liens. The seller from selling the house, and then I would write the deed and all of the conveyance documents to make sure that the seller legally transfers and properly transfers buyer. And as the buyer's attorney, I would say it's a little bit more involved in that for most first-time home buyers, this is a new process, and through the process and holding their hand through the process. And so that's through the contract negotiation, that's through negotiating the trying to get the buyer to either make those repairs or pay for some of those repairs through a credit to the home buyer. And, you know, I don't, and sort of keeping up with the is working with the mortgage lender to get the loan approved. Some buyers need a little bit more hand holding with that as well. There's so many lenders out there. So, if I hear that, that the buyer is with a good lender, then I'm more hands off. But not every lender is a good lender. So sometimes I have to be hands on to make sure that the buyer is getting a good deal. It's the same, every loan is different. And, when you have a good lender, it's in everyone's best interest for that to be the case. Lenders lately have been really, really swamped because there's so many transfers of properties happening that lenders are turning down deals because they have so much work. And
Not Maya.
Maya's not. And so, once we, get to, so we choose a title company, and, the title company will give us a full history of the property. And, so you owe any money to the state, that's going to come out in title. So if you owe child support, for example, and you're a seller, then you have to pay off your child support before you can collect the proceeds of title, because money that you owe to the state attaches to any property that you have. So once title is clear, once you get a clear to close from the lender, has been satisfied, then we close. So usually, when by the time you get to when you close on the property with me, at that point, it's generally over. The deed just has to be recorded in the county, and then everyone's done. Everyone gets paid. On the seller side, all the people that are working on the transaction get paid at close. We don't. So if the deal doesn't close, most times we don't get paid. So we're working not only to to make both sides successful, but also to get our payment. Thank you again for the opportunity to speak about what I do as a real estate attorney. On a residential side, there's a bunch of other things. There's commercial closings. There's tax appeals that I do for home. A few this season. The deadline to file a tax appeal is tomorrow. So if you haven't done it already, it's the deadline is tomorrow. There's bankruptcies, there's foreclosure work. So there's a lot of, and it's all in my wheelhouse. So any questions that you might have, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'm happy to answer questions. I don't charge for consultations. So thank you again, Nadiyah, and everyone for listening.
Thank you, Darryl, so much. Thank you so much. Now we're going to move on to our home inspector, Damian.
Thank you. Good evening. Happy to be a part of this workshop this evening. So thank you to all the attendees who make it worth our efforts, and for Nadiyah for putting it together. So you've gotten to the home inspection phase. My name is Damian Gill. I'm from Vanguard Home Inspection. I'm the principal inspector. I'm also the owner of the company. And I won't belabor you and bore you with my history because it's not that interesting. I've been an inspector in one form or another for the last 15, 16 years. And I started this company because I saw an opportunity and I wanted to kind of craft and change. So here we are. As a home inspector and at the home inspection phase, you guys are pretty well into the process. You guys have committed to purchase a home. You guys are hopefully happy and enamored with your structure and your property, and you can't wait to get to the finish line. And you've hired me to come out and burst that bubble. No, I'm just kidding. What I do as a home inspector, and what I'm going to talk about, is your home pricing guide, what to expect as a home inspection, at least at a baseline. There's always going to be some variability. What's included in your home inspection, trying to manage your expectations, because sometimes people think that home inspectors are magicians. We can't see through walls. And some of us also think we're a little smarter than we actually are. And then understanding your report. One of the big things that Nadiyah wanted me to talk about is the reports, because reports can be pretty lengthy and they can be pretty overwhelming, and they shouldn't be. I'll tell you how to work with a report and then how to enjoy the report afterwards. And then some additional services, things that are becoming somewhat industry standard. You know, we've had a process, and that process is evolving to change with the times. We have more informed buyers. We have more resources available to us on the internet. And because of that, there are new services that are being offered every day, and people are being innovative in the industry. So when it comes to pricing, there's really no one size fits all. Every property is unique. A home inspector looks at pricing on a home inspection based on three things primarily. One is the size of the home and the housing type. One is the age of the home. And then sometimes they'll look at the price of the home. When you're talking about really, really expensive pieces of property, you have a lot of assets that are at risk. There's an increased liability to making a mistake. And that's something that may come into play with some higher end purchases when you're talking about $1 million homes and things like that. But generally speaking, it's based on square footage and age. If you're looking at a typical home up to about 2,500 square feet, maybe 1950s construction or newer, generally speaking, you're going to see something in the neighborhood of about $495. That's inclusive. You know, different home inspectors charge different prices. I like to bundle because I don't like to upsell you with stuff, and I'm not big on selling you on a price and then saying, oh, you want that or you want that, and we're going to charge you for that extra. I like to give you a nice base price and say, this is what you get, and that's the standard. So a standard home inspection typically includes the home inspection itself, a radon inspection, and a wood destroying insect inspection, which most people understand as a termite inspection. But we're not just looking for termites, we're looking for other things as well, other wood destroying insects. So a general single family home is $495. Most condos are going to be in the neighborhood of about $300 to $325. And then townhomes, which are becoming very popular and they're very common in New Jersey, you're going to see right around the $400 mark, $400 to $425. With multifamily dwellings in our more urban areas, I know we do a lot of work in East Orange, Irvington, and Elizabeth. Generally speaking, you're seeing about a $495 to $500 charge, and then they'll add $100 per unit that we add on. So a 3-unit would be $495 plus $200. When we're talking about condos, taking a step back, generally speaking, we don't do radon inspections. Radon inspections really are only important when we're talking about properties that have contact with the ground. So condos kind of stand apart a little bit. And that's what you're looking at in terms of pricing. What's included in your home inspection? So the standards, the standards of practice for home inspectors is basically our Bible. That's what we look to. And the standards define a home inspection as including the condition of the home's heating system, the home's central air system, if weather permits, the interior plumbing, electrical systems, the roof, the attic, the visible insulation, the walls, the ceilings, the floors, all of your windows and doors, the foundation, the basement, and the structural components that hold it all together. As Nadiyah said, we kind of look at everything. We also look at it dispassionately. When you guys are buying a home, like I said, you're enamored, you're invested. You see a home and you say, look, we don't see much going on. We always find things because there are things. Homes are maintenance items, and they require constant vigilance to keep them to a comfortable standard where we can enjoy them without a lot of headaches. So switching gears to managing expectations. What do I mean by that? And you may hear a term a lot in the industry of non-invasive inspections. So non-invasive means that we're not going to destroy any portion of the house. We're not going to dig into your walls. We're not going to dismantle parts of the home because we could damage things. We're doing a visual only assessment. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't take off access panels. That doesn't mean that we don't crawl into yucky crawl spaces in attics and in basements. We do all of those things if it's safe to do so. And we're going to look at all of those components. And if there are sections that we can't look at, we'll delineate that in our report, in our limitation section, because we can't get to everything. Some roofs are inaccessible, some attics or crawl spaces are sometimes inaccessible. And, you know, we have to have a standard where, you know, it's no longer safe, but we have to convey that to you because you guys have an expectation. And to the best of our ability as home inspectors, we want to give you as complete a picture as possible. When it comes to your reports, I said at the beginning that they can be a little overwhelming. Most reports from a lot of home inspectors will be anywhere between 30 and 50 pages long. My reports tend to be a little bit on the higher side. I think my reports generally are 60 to 70 pages. And when they're past that, you probably got some problems. With the report, you can generally break them into 3 sections. One is your details section. One is your what was inspected and what are the limitations, which were the areas we could not inspect and why. And then the most important section, arguably for the realtors and the attorneys, is the deficiencies and recommendation section. So the detail section, I'll go over briefly, is the information portion. It's telling you your house has a roof that's this old. It has a water heater that's this old. What's the manufacturer? All of the information that is important to you as a homeowner to understand what you're living in and what you have at your disposal. The inspection, non-inspection section in our report deals with usually a grid pattern that will check a box and say this was inspected, this wasn't inspected. And in that information, it'll identify the specific items that we looked at that are specific to your home. The deficiency section, like I said, is the meat of your application. That's where we record all of the conditions that we found in your home that need some type of recommendation. Either there was some maintenance item that maybe the current owners and sellers haven't taken care of. Maybe we found something that is relatively minor in nature. I like to break my findings in my recommendation section into 3 categories as well. So I have my maintenance section and my minor deficiency section. I have my deficiencies, which is generally the big stuff, your broken windows, your uneven floors, your loose tiles, things like that. And then we have the material defects. The material defects are the big ticket items often, or life safety. So life safety things are things that affect your ability to occupy the home. You know, having a structural issue, having inadequate smoke detectors, missing or not having the appropriate windows in your bedrooms, things like that. And when we're looking at that, we try to contextualize it. Now, for Vanguard home inspection, I think it's important when we prepare our reports to write our reports using strong language. We want to give you the best opportunity, as Nadiyah was saying, to negotiate if there's room for that in your transaction. We want you to be able to either request credits, request repairs. And when you're doing that, having a strong report that doesn't alarm you, but aggressively, I guess is a good word to use, aggressively informs the sellers as to what's going on, probably puts your best foot forward, because we are licensed professionals and it's not just an individual who's saying, I don't like this or I don't like that. It is objective. We always have to stay true to the conditions in the home, but we say that. What's important for us in Vanguard is to establish relationships. You know, we don't spend a lot of time with buyers, but we try to make meaningful connections, because while I write a report that may read kind of like an alarmist, I do like to contextualize the report. I like to let my buyers know that these are things that should be addressed, but maybe aren't as alarming as they need to be. I guess I'll use that for lack of a better description. Because I think it's important that you understand we're here to scare. If we're going to scare anybody, we want to scare our sellers. We don't want to scare our buyers. We want you to understand what's really going on in the home. And then Additional services. So, I was talking earlier, and Nadiyah touched on it a little bit, that, most home inspections today, and most inspections include the home inspection, termite inspection, and the radon inspection. It's becoming more commonplace, and more home inspection firms are providing oil tank sweeps, especially in New Jersey, where the standards for oil tanks and remediation and environmental concerns are really, really great. There are some states that it's not a big deal. In New Jersey, it can not only bankrupt a deal, it can bankrupt a person if they're not adequately prepared with that information. So it is important to have these discussions when the homes meet certain criteria, or when there are legitimate concerns that there may be or may have been an oil tank on the property. Another popular option that's becoming more popular is sewer camera inspections. With the technology the way it is, it's a lot more affordable for home inspectors to have sewer cameras at their disposal and run sewer cameras through your sewer lines. That is an area that a home inspection can't say. Like I said, we're not magicians. We can't see through the wall, but running a camera through a sewer pipe will alert us to potentially very expensive repairs in the future. Sewers are pernicious in the fact that they often do not present problems until they're way far gone. So a lot of times sellers aren't even aware that there may be a condition. You may have roots, you may have an offset pipe that you may have to deal with. And like I said, we want to make sure you have all the tools when you buy your property, and that you have as much information as possible, because the worst thing you could possibly do is buy a piece of property and not be prepared for what's coming. There's always going to be something around the corner. We want to make sure that the big things are not what's around the corner. And that's pretty much all I have for additional standards. I thank you guys for, again, listening to us, and thank you again, Nadiyah.
Thank you so much, Damian. So we have a lot of knowledge, a lot of information that has just came across. So I know it might be a little bit overwhelming. That's why we want to have the links posted, so that if you have questions from any of the professionals here, you could definitely piggyback and get to us directly to answer any of your questions. But the home inspection and report, I will say, is a really big deal when it comes down to purchasing your home. Even though it is a lot of information, it's a lot of information that you need to know, especially when it comes back to negotiating anything on the deal. So just to kind of recap, again, first, realtor, or under my suggestions, speak to a lender first to see how much house you can afford before you go shopping. Because I'm actually going to ask you, do you have a pre-approval letter? Meaning, do you have the right to go shopping? After you have the right to go shopping, we put in an offer, the offer gets accepted. After it gets accepted, you go see your attorney, Darryl. He then helps you negotiate, go back and forth. You come to terms, you get on the contract, then you go see Damian. Damian gives you that home inspection report. We see whether or not the house is in good shape or bad shape, whether or not we need to stay with the home or walk away from the deal. But if we see that the home is worthy and you're able to proceed, we get to the closing table. And then you have to insure your biggest purchase. And now we're going to go to Steve. He's going to talk about home insurance.
Good night, guys. Thank you guys for having me. Nadiyah putting together a great, I want to say a great, knowledgeable. I'm learning some stuff here. I don't know if I could come after Damian. That was a lot of information, great information, by the way. But
sorry about that.
Bore you. Yeah. No, it was good information. No need to be sorry. But I'm not going to bore you guys or take too much time. My name is Steve Crawford, and I work with Primerica Financial Services. I'm actually a regional manager with our firm. Prior to me working in finance, listening to you guys take me back 20 plus years. I was a carpenter for 22 years, worked in the union and different stuff. So I was the person actually building a lot of these luxury homes and different things. So listening to you guys just took me back. So I work as a carpenter in construction, different as a bricklayer, carpenter, tiler, all these things. So hearing Damian talk about uneven floors and broken tiles, I was kind of smiling, right? But yes, so I did that for about 22 years. Then I decided that actually I transitioned from that, was doing it for a long time. The wear and tear on my body was too much at that time. So I transitioned into business and finance, graduated from BMCC, and then I started working in finance. So been five years since I've been doing that. Basically what I do is help clients in different areas of retirement, properly protecting their income, college, helping set up college tuition, annuities, and a ton of different other things for retirement options and different things. And also, like Nadiyah said, insuring some of our biggest assets, right? So when it comes to some of the insurances, are making sure you properly protect your income, right, which is critical. And secondly would be to insure one of your biggest assets, which would be, for most people, would be a house, commercial property, different things of that nature. So basically, as a homeowner, the purpose of having homeowners insurance, right, would be to protect your home from, let's say, any kind of disaster, we would say, whether it be fire, flood, tsunami, what have you, right? And basically, you will want to protect that home, because I know you will went to some of the lenders. Now they will probably shop, get you a good home. You go to the lenders, Darryl, Damian, everyone does their thing, and now you're presented with this house. You know, we're very excited. But one of the things we want to make sure we have insurance that covers probably the full cost of the home, as I say, Lord forbid, in case of disaster. And also sometimes some people want to cover their contents. Some people might not want to cover their contents. So my job will be to help you shop for insurance to make sure that your asset is properly protected. Also, we talk about policies, right? What type of policies? As I mentioned before, that would tie into the insurance. The policy you would want to get is a policy that does covers your assets. Some people like to make sure they have full coverage, all depends, but I know coming from a lender, they want to make sure that you're fully covered, right? That your property is fully covered in different things. So again, what does the policy covers, right? As I said, pretty much your contents. I know Darryl was talking about, Damian, sorry, was talking about making sure your boilers and different things. So all of these things will come inside of your contents. And while they go through the list of different things for the house, they want to find out how old is the roof of the house, the structure. So having a pretty new construction would be more of something that, you know, the premiums could be a little bit more. So it depends on the age of the house. So there are a number of different factors that would factor into the cost of the of your insurance premiums, right? And also, when we say premiums, we are talking about the monthly premium that you would pay for the to have your house covered, right? So basically that would be, and homeowners insurance basically, guys, would be, you know, is a transfer of risk. So you're just transferring the loss, Lord forbid, right? The loss of your property, which is your house, your commercial space, any other thing, right? So you transfer that risk to the insurance company in exchange for a small premium. So the company takes a monthly premium from you, and as long as you pay your premium, right, in a lot of cases, right, as long as you pay your monthly premium, they will honor the contract. Lord forbid, as I said, in case of disaster, you know, they will replace the value of your home and the contents in most cases, right? And lastly, let's say my role as an agent. Basically, what I do the groundwork for the client, right? Pretty much, I get in contact with the company that I work with. We shop over 25 lenders, 25 insurance carriers for you, to see if we could get you the cheapest quotes in different areas, because it is competitive, right, with the insurance companies. So I will shop for these quotes for you, or put you in contact with the insurance people that could do that for you. So that would probably be much my role. And as I said, helping you to make sure that one of your biggest assets is taken care of. So that would kind of be some of the steps that we would go through and help you out in that process. And making sure once you're satisfied with the quote, then we move forward from there and have it implemented, and you'll be covered as far as your home go. So I want to thank you guys very much again, Nadiyah, for having me and explaining just a little bit about what I do as far as the homeowners insurance portion. And sometimes you can also bundle, let's say, your car and different things in there to help, you know, lower different quotes and different things like that. So, but I do a total package of different types of insurances for you.
Thank you so much, Steve. Appreciate
No.
your time and all the information. So
No problem at all.
all are doing here tonight is to help you understand that it takes a team to get this job done. It's not just you by yourself. We are a part of your force when it comes down to purchasing a home. And you need to have professionals who not only stay in their lane, but also are open up to communicate with each other. As a realtor, I communicate with everyone. I communicate with the lender. I communicate with the attorney. I communicate with the inspector. And it's very important that we all are on one accord. Of course, you are the lead as the buyer, and we are here to follow suit, but also to advise you, to counsel you. I want to very quickly just mention what's going on in the market right now, in this present market. We in Northern New Jersey are going through what's called a seller's market. What does that mean? That means there is a lot of buyers with a little bit of inventory as far as homes. And because of that, even more so, this is why this workshop is very, very important, because so many people right now, and you wouldn't think because of COVID, but there are so many people who are looking to buy houses. And because of that, the competition is very, very stiff. So the team is very important, because there's been many times where I've had clients who unfortunately weren't able to get that house because they were not just one of 5 offers, they were one of 30 offers. But the team is here to encourage you to keep going. Everyone's timeline is different. And I like to recommend to my clients, when they feel that there is time to purchase, I want them to think from the finish line. When do you want to be in your home? That then will determine when you need to start the process as far as talking to Maya, your lender, or actually looking for houses. And everyone's situation is uniquely different. Some buyers, I've had buyers who we were able to get it done from beginning to end within 4.5 months, meaning from searching for 2 months and actually putting an offer in, getting accepted, to get into the closing table. Then I've had clients who I've had for over a year or so. So everyone's situation is different. But again, having the team behind you is what makes the difference, okay? I want to very quickly go over the quick fire challenge, and then I'm going to have to turn it back to Barry because he has some great information. I did want Darryl to talk a little bit about Savers Village, but because of the internet connection, we might have to postpone on that, maybe depending, we'll see. But let's go over that quick challenge. You don't have to go back to it. I'm actually going to just read out the answers. So answer to number 1, true or false? Lender, a realtor, an attorney, and home inspectors are your typical professionals in buying a home. True, of course. That's one of the reasons why we have all the professionals here tonight. Next question, true or false? Am I expected to pay most of my real estate professionals involved in purchasing the home at the beginning? No, you're not. In fact, we don't get paid until the closing table. In fact, that's what your closing costs are. That's when myself, the attorney, the loan organization fees, that's when we actually get paid. However, on the flip, someone like Damian, these are other expenses that are in between the transaction that you will have to come out of pocket yourself. Next question. What are important expenses a buyer will be responsible for before closing the house? Your options were home insurance, property taxes and interest, or down payment, inspection, and closing costs. Actually, it will be option C. You are responsible for your down payment. That's the monies that Maya was telling you that you had to come up with first, your portion that you have to produce. Your inspections, that's Damian, and also the city or municipality inspections. Depending on the township, it varies in price, anywhere between $200 to some of the more expensive, between $500 and $600, depending. And your closing costs, which I mentioned before, is how all your real estate professionals get paid. And then lastly, how long does it take to actually purchase a home from beginning to end? And that would be option C. It's definitely going to take more than a month. Now, Maya has great is a wealth of knowledge, and she can get things done quickly, but it usually takes for a mortgage just to be written about 30 to 45 days. That's just the mortgage. We're not talking about the inspections. We're not talking about looking for a home. So it takes some time. So I want you to think about when you want to be in a home and then start to scale backwards, right? So it's a whole team process. Of course, make sure that you ask questions. The more questions you ask, the more confident you are about this situation, because it can be a very daunting task. But with us as your professionals, we want to make sure that you buy with confidence. That's more than half the battle. We are here to make you not be nervous about the decisions that you want to make. All right. So I'm going to quickly flip it back to Barry so he can add some more information about what his wonderful organization is doing.
All right, just quickly, inside the chat, I'll put that link tree information in there, and I'll just pull it up on the screen. And actually, Nadia, if you want to just run through, what this is?
Not a problem. So this is a Linktree link. It's very, very simple, you guys. You can access it from the chat. It's going to prompt you to this page. And when you click on any of the links, it will go exactly to a website. In fact, for myself, I have two there. One will go directly to my actual website where you can actually search for homes. I have another link that will basically send you to a page to ask me questions. In fact, I have a link for every last panelist, for our attorney, for our lender, for our home inspector, and for our home insurance. So if you have any type of questions, if you want to contact us, if there's just something that you just have an inquiry about, this is where you can go. Instead of having to like take a screenshot of what's going on, I did it here, and you're able to go straight directly to any one of us.
All right, great. What I want to do now is Mike Wilson, who's my fraternity brother and actually the chair of that virtual 5K that I mentioned at the top of the meeting. So I'm going to allow him to just elaborate a little bit on the 5K.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Nadiyah and team, for such great information about purchasing property. I wanted to just share a bit of information about this virtual 5K that we've been talking about. It's virtual because we want to protect ourselves from the pandemic, and we're looking out for everyone's safety. But the way it works is, beginning May 15th, participants can go out and run or walk 5K, send in the results to us, and we'll publicize that, and we'll give you a certificate of completion to reward you for your participation. Registration is free. Donations are welcome, but this is an opportunity to build up our health. As Brother Barry said at the top, health is wealth. So it's my hope that you will consider joining us in this effort. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're already having a lot of fun amongst ourselves, posting pictures of each other, preparing on Instagram, and challenging each other to get out there and be active. So as it warms up, it's our hope that you'll join in with us and have some fun with us with this 5K.
All right, and just finally, if you take a look on the link tree, there's a link for the 5K at the bottom, and there's also a link there directly to the chapter's website if you want some additional information. We have a ton of programming, and this is just an example. We do a lot of collaborations with small business owners, community-based organizations. So we're always looking to provide an opportunity to work with the community and share information. So with that said, I think we're coming to a close, but thank you for everyone for your participation. Thank you for all of the panelists for sharing all of that information that is, I'm sure many of us will take back and utilize, if not tomorrow, sometime in the near future. Hopefully, the real estate market is hot. So if you're waiting, you're going to be on the sidelines. Now is the time to get in. All right. If you have any additional questions, feel free to reach out to me, and I can contact the panelists if you don't directly reach them via the Linktree links. All right. That's Nadiyah.
This is Darryl's baby. He is not only an attorney, but he's also a real estate developer. This is a way to invest in towns like Newark, New Jersey. I don't know if Darryl wanted very quickly. I know his connection was a little bit off, but definitely please just click on the link so you can find out more information about this wonderful development. I believe that you broke ground or about to break ground, but it's a way to not only invest, but the whole idea around it as far as building and bringing in community to not only serve people who look like us, but to become owners. They not only are teaching about financial literacy. It's just a great initiative. So please make sure you check it out. It's a way of getting to invest, also work on home ownership. In addition to that, I want to thank Barry and everyone for coming out. I know it was a lot of information, a little bit of time. We kind of skimmed the surface of what it is to purchase a home is more and more complex, but again, with the right professionals and the right expertise, you can get your questions answered. So I thank you all. If there's anyone who wants to stay in a little bit, just for any couple questions, we'll be here for a little bit. And we thank you so very, very much. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. This is our first one, and I truly, truly am honored.
Yeah, if anyone has any questions, feel free to ask on the panelists, or will remain for a minute or two afterwards to answer any questions you may have. If not, enjoy the rest of your evening and have a happy Easter.
I got some new music, Barry.
Yeah, right. I want to see if there's been any questions first. I was about to put some jazz on again.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for that. It was very informative.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for participation.
You're welcome.
Thank you all. It was very informative. I do have a question for Nadiyah. I'm not looking to purchase a home until September of next year.
Okay.
When would you suggest that I start the process?
The first thing I would say, talk to a lender to see where you are right now financially and see how much house you can afford. And then we can actually follow the market. I would say if you don't want to be until next year, that the beginning of that year, the January is when you need to start looking to see what type of market it is in comparison to what it is now. And so that you can follow the trend, because depending on where the market is, homes are moving very, very quickly. They're not staying on the market very, very long. But at least if you're able to follow the trend and see what's going on, when you're ready to actually start to put in offers, you know exactly what area you want to be in. You know about the property taxes. You understand how much you can afford at that given time. So I would say if it's September, start looking in the beginning of that year, like January, just to see what it is. As far as when it comes down to September, you know whether or not you're paying above or a little bit under from what it was 6 months ago. Does that make sense?
It does. Thank you so much.
And Tasha, I just want to say something briefly. What makes you wait a whole year? I'm just curious.
You know what? Because I'm getting married this September and my lease expires. So because, thank you so much. So because of the wedding is in September of this year, our lease actually expires this year, September. So we decided to wait until September of next year when the lease expires to purchase.
Okay.
Make sure you fill out the contact information sheet so we can stay in touch.
I will.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah, I was actually thinking I'm going to reach out to both you and Maya to kind of start the process, because I'm a planner, so I like to do things in advance to make sure that we're in the best place and best position.
Because Tasha, I'll just give you a heads up. When your lease expires for whatever year it is, Nadiyah might even be able to find a renter for you if you're looking for a house in the interim. There are ways to work around things. You don't always have to think you're 2 years out or a year and a half.
Okay. Thank you for that. I thank you all for this session. It's very informative.
That was some great info, Maya. I never even thought about that you could get a renter to replace the tenant so that the lease won't be broken. Okay.
Or at least when the lease is up, because usually a lease is year to year, maybe month to month. So depending on the type of lease, there's always a way around it. It's called creative thinking. And
absolutely right. That's what I said. I never even thought about that, but that was informative. I have I don't know if it's a question statement, but for Damian, I don't know if you're still here with us.
Yeah, Damian.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay. Just my construction hat thinking out loud, because I know back when I was in construction, back as far as let's say septic tanks and sewage and different things like that, they weren't like the fiber optic to, go inside the different things to check broken ceramic pipes and different things like that. But let's say when you do that process, now I know the excavator and different things, you like handle the entire process, or you find out just what the problems are and then you would give that off to I guess the purchaser or the homeowner, or how would that process go? Kind of
Well,
just curious.
thank you for the question. All right, so with home inspection, there is a fine line with sewer systems. So we don't inspect septic systems at all. No home inspector does.
Okay.
You have to be septic certified. It's through the county health boards and the environmental boards of New Jersey. So
Okay.
when we're doing an inspection for a property that has septic, we inspect to the septic system, and that's it. We don't inspect the septic system. And then if we're in a conventional home where there's public sewer and public water, we're inspecting to the lateral connection or the city main. And to your question directly, what we do is we'll identify whatever we see. If there are problems or if there are conditions in the pipe, we'll provide you with a report, and we'll provide you with video via YouTube with some URLs. And then you would pass that. I would give that to whoever it was that was hiring me. So if I'm hired by the buyer who is looking to ensure that they're not buying into a problem, or if I'm looking for a seller, because I do work with sellers who are pre-selling and they want to make sure that this is not going to be an issue going forward. Sometimes they use that as a marketing tool, like, hey, we have no sewer issues, we paid for an inspection. That's something that usually becomes a selling point for some sellers. We'll give that information to them, and then we'll recommend some actions with either a plumber or a cleaning service. Sometimes it's just dirty pipes and you need to get it blown out.
Got you. I was just kind of curious on that, on that, but thank you. That was, yeah, you clarified that.
No problem.
Just put the contact information link inside the chat. If anyone wants to go ahead and fill that out, so we can directly keep in contact with you. It also has options as far as the timeline as well.
All right.
Okay. Does anyone else have any questions?
I want to ask one question, just one question. The 203K for rehab loan versus the home equity line of credit, which one is the more valuable one to use in these times? I mean, both of them the best opportunity, or what's the best one for a new homeowner or older homeowner to use?
Actually, for a new homeowner, we usually use the 203K or the home style. But it depends on what you want the line of credit for.
Okay.
But definitely for the first,
addition to the home.
you know what, let me just share one thing. The one bank that I do broker to, you know, we have first-time home buyer grants with the 3.5% down. Actually, I have one bank that will give you 2% for a 203K. The traditional banks don't give grants when you have a rehab loan. So there are a lot of different types of products that would benefit you if you did it as a 203K, if you're a first-time home buyer.
What if you're not?
If you're not a first-time home buyer, you would do the conventional side. FHA is
Okay.
only for a first-time home buyer.
Understood. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And Maya, first time home buyer is you haven't purchased a house in how long?
3 years.
3 years.
Right. So if somebody has owned a house and sold it and has not owned a house in 3 years, you are a first-time home buyer again, and you can qualify for a grant.
And FHA 203K loans are great right now because so many people are looking at what's called a turnkey, meaning the house is ready to go. And those houses go not only very quickly, but usually highly above asking. But if you were to look, and I recommend this to some of my clients, don't look for the turnkey house. Look for the house that needs a little bit of work. Get a 203K loan. Get a general contractor in to come and give you estimates and build that rehab portion inside your mortgage, as what Maya mentioned before, is a good way to go, especially around this time.
And what I tell people is don't look at a house in a bad way. Make it the house that you want. And we have the tools. You have the tools in a mortgage to do so. So you think outside the box. And we can give you an